The stars looked peaceful that morning when the alien ships arrived. Admiral Hyun-woo stood on the observation deck of the orbital defense station, watching the massive vessels materialize from faster-than-light travel. There were hundreds of them, each one bigger than a city. Their hulls gleamed with dark metal and strange symbols marked their sides. The Valdran Imperium had come to Earth. Hyun-woo had been a soldier for 30 years. He fought in the Mars Rebellion when colonists tried to break away from Earth. He survived the Jupiter Station disaster when a reactor went critical. But he had never seen anything like this. The alien fleet spread out across space like a wolf pack surrounding prey. They moved with confidence, almost laziness. They did not think Earth could fight back. The communication systems crackled to life. A voice spoke in perfect English, though the accent was strange and mechanical. Primitive humans of the third planet. You are now subjects of the Valdran Imperium. Your civilization is young and weak. We have conquered 400 star systems. You will surrender all military assets within 72 hours. You will provide representatives to swear loyalty to Emperor Valdis the Eternal. Resistance will result in the destruction of your cities and the enslavement of your population. This is your only warning. The message repeated in every human language. Across Earth, people stopped what they were doing. Some panicked. Others got angry. Governments held emergency meetings. News channels showed the alien fleet on every screen. The ships just sat there in space waiting. They did not hide. They did not prepare for battle. They acted like Earth had already lost. Captain Tae-yang sat in the cockpit of his ship, the Silent Arrow. It was the fastest reconnaissance vessel humanity had ever built. From the outside it looked small and weak. That was intentional. Tae-yang had orders to fly close to the alien fleet and scan their technology. He powered up the engines and slipped away from the orbital station. His ship was designed to be invisible to most sensors. The aliens would not see him coming. As he approached the enemy fleet, Tae-yang activated his scanning systems. Data flooded his screens. The Valdran ships used fusion reactors, not antimatter. Their weapons were plasma-based, nothing special. Their shields operated on frequencies that human scientists had abandoned 20 years ago, because better options existed. Tae-yang smiled. The aliens thought they were advanced. They had no idea what humanity had been building in secret. Down on the moon, Dr. Ji-won worked in a laboratory buried deep underground. She was a physicist, one of the best. Her specialty was weapons that most people thought were impossible. Around her, technicians checked systems and ran tests. Ji-won pulled up classified files on her computer screen. Project Nightfall, Project Singularity, Project Ghost Protocol. These were humanity's real weapons, the ones nobody talked about. 50 years ago, Earth explorers found something in deep space. It was a graveyard of alien civilizations, thousands of destroyed ships floating in the darkness, evidence of wars that burned entire planets. Humanity studied those battlefields for decades. They learned what weapons the ancient aliens used. They learned what mistakes those civilizations made. And they learned the most important lesson of all. Never show your strength until you need it. Earth could have announced their advanced technology to the galaxy. They could have joined the galactic community as equals. But the World Defense Council made a different choice. They decided to stay quiet, let other civilizations think humans were primitive, build weapons in secret, prepare for the day when someone stronger came looking for a fight. That day had arrived. General Soo-jin sat in the war room beneath the mountains of Switzerland. Holographic displays surrounded her, showing the alien fleet from every angle. Military commanders from every nation watched and waited for her orders. Soo-jin had spent her entire career preparing for this moment. She was the architect of Earth's secret military expansion. She knew where every hidden weapon platform was positioned. She knew the capabilities of every system. Status report, she said calmly. An officer responded. All defense stations are online and ready. The aliens have positioned themselves in high orbit, approximately 35,000 kilometers above the surface. They have not launched fighters or deployed troops. They are waiting for our surrender. Another officer added, our reconnaissance shows they have 1,500 warships total. 500 are positioned near Earth. The rest are spread throughout the solar system, probably securing routes and watching for any escape attempts. Soo-jin nodded. The aliens were overconfident. They split their forces. They stayed close to Earth, thinking humans had no weapons that could reach them. They made every mistake that ancient civilizations made before they were destroyed. She almost felt sorry for them. "How much time until the deadline?" she asked. 48 hours, ma'am." "Good, we wait. Let them get comfortable. Let them think we are afraid." Across Earth, the evacuation protocols began. It looked like panic. Governments told people to prepare emergency supplies. Spaceports loaded civilian ships. News reporters talked about the end of human civilization, but it was all theater. The World Defense Council wanted the aliens to see fear. They wanted the Valdrans to believe their intimidation was working. Engineer Dayun worked at a control station on the far side of the moon. She designed something that took 15 years to build. 200 defense platforms scattered throughout the solar system. Each one was invisible, wrapped in cloaking technology that bent light and masked energy signatures. Each platform carried enough firepower to crack a moon in half. They had been floating in space for a decade, waiting, inactive, silent. The aliens flew right past them without knowing. Dayun activated the final system checks. Everything was ready. When the order came, those platforms would materialize like ghosts and show the aliens what real power looked like. Lieutenant Jae-hyun served aboard the ODS Horizon, one of Earth's orbital defense ships. To anyone looking at it, the Horizon seemed like a military vessel with basic weapons. Missiles, railguns, nothing special. But beneath the hull, hidden from sensors, were weapons that could rewrite the laws of physics in a small space. Jae-hyun had trained on these systems for 3 years. He never thought he would actually use them. The countdown continued. The aliens sent more messages, each one more threatening than the last. They described in detail what would happen if Earth did not surrender. They showed footage of other planets they had conquered. They wanted humans to be terrified. Admiral Hyun-woo watched it all from his station. He felt calm. He remembered the first time he saw the classified briefing about Earth's real military power. He could not believe it. Humanity had built an arsenal that could challenge any civilization in the galaxy. And they did it in complete secrecy. The 72-hour deadline approached. 60 hours left, then 48, then 24. The aliens began moving their ships into attack positions. They probably thought Earth was about to surrender at the last moment. They prepared to accept the submission of another primitive species. With 12 hours remaining, Hyun-woo received a message from General Soo-jin. It contained authorization codes and a simple instruction. Protocol Nightfall is approved. Show them why we stayed hidden. Hyun-woo smiled. He opened a channel to every defense station, every hidden platform, every ship with classified weapon systems. His voice was steady and clear. All stations prepare to engage. We do not fire until they make their move. When they attack, we respond with everything. The galaxy is watching. Let us teach them why humanity does not surrender. The alien fleet began to accelerate toward Earth. 500 massive warships, their weapons charging, ready to demonstrate their power. They had no idea they were flying into a trap. They thought this would be easy. They thought humans were weak. They were about to learn the truth. The Valdran commander stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Wrath. His name was unpronounceable in human languages, so Earth intelligence simply called him Commander Vex. He was a veteran of 50 conquests. He had burned cities and enslaved populations across the galaxy. To him, Earth was nothing special. Another primitive world, another easy victory. Time to deadline? He asked his weapons officer. 6 hours, Commander. The humans have not responded to our demands. We detect increased traffic around their orbital stations, but no military deployments. They appear to be evacuating civilians. Vex made a sound like laughter. Cowards. They know they cannot fight us. Send the vanguard forward. 500 ships. Target their orbital infrastructure. Do not destroy their cities yet. I want them to watch their defenses crumble first. Then they will beg to surrender. The vanguard fleet began its approach, massive dreadnoughts leading the way, surrounded by cruisers and destroyers. Their plasma cannons powered up, glowing with deadly energy. From Earth, it must have looked like a wave of death descending from the stars. On the moon, Dr. Ji-won watched her screens carefully. She saw the alien ships moving into position. She saw their weapons charging. She made some final calculations and opened a communication channel to General Soo-jin. General, the enemy is using Mark 7 plasma accelerators. Those were state-of-the-art about 80 years ago by Galactic standards. Their shield generators operate on a fixed frequency. Our phase disruption weapons will cut through them like they are not even there. Sujin's voice came back immediately. How certain are you? 100%. I have been studying their technology since they arrived. They are decades behind us in key areas. Their shields, their targeting systems, their reactor efficiency, all outdated. They have numbers, but we have quality. Understood. Prepare your weapons. G1 turned to her team. Activate the lunar batteries, singularity projectors online. Set targeting solutions for the enemy capital ships. When we fire, I want their flagships gone first. The technicians worked quickly. Deep beneath the moon's surface, enormous machines came to life. They consumed incredible amounts of energy. They bent space-time itself. The singularity projectors were humanity's most terrifying weapon. They created miniature black holes that lasted only milliseconds, but in those brief moments they could swallow entire ships. Captain Tae Yang returned from his reconnaissance mission. His ship docked at the orbital station where Admiral Hyunwoo waited. Tae Yang brought data drives filled with scans of the enemy fleet. Admiral, I have complete tactical analysis. Their fleet formation has 17 critical weaknesses. Their command ship coordinates everything through centralized communications. If we cut that link, the fleet will struggle to adapt. Also, their ships have slow maneuvering thrusters. Our fighters can outfly them easily. Hyunwoo studied the data. Good work, Captain. How quickly can you brief your fighter wing? 30 minutes. We are ready to launch on your order. Do it. When the battle starts, I want you to take out their communication relays first. Blind them. Make them panic. Tae Yang saluted and hurried to the hangar bay. His fighter wing consisted of 60 pilots, each one flying a ship that the aliens would underestimate. Human fighters looked small and fragile. They were actually maneuverable, fast, and carried weapons far beyond their size. The pilots called themselves the Ghost Squadron because enemy sensors could barely detect them. Engineer Da-eun sat at her control station, watching the alien fleet on her displays. The Valdrin ships were now 30,000 kilometers from Earth and closing. They still had not detected the hidden defense platforms, 200 invisible stations, each one carrying enough firepower to destroy a dozen enemy ships. Taeyeon had positioned them perfectly over the past decade, some near Earth, some near the moon, others scattered throughout the solar system. She received the activation order from General Sujin. Taeyeon's fingers moved across her controls. All platforms, prepare to decloak on my mark. Target packages are assigned. Fire on automatic once visible. We have one chance to make this count. Throughout the solar system, the defense platforms received their orders. Advanced computers calculated firing solutions. Weapon systems charged. The platforms remained invisible, waiting. Lieutenant Jae-hyun stood at his station aboard the ODS Horizon. Around him, the crew prepared for battle. The ship's regular weapons were loaded and ready. Missiles, railguns, point defense systems. But Jae-hyun's console controlled something else entirely. The phase disruption cannons. These weapons did not fire projectiles or energy beams. They fired pulses of altered space-time. When the pulse hit an enemy shield, it simply passed through, ignoring the barrier completely. Then the pulse would interact with solid matter, causing the atomic structure to tear itself apart. Ships hit by phase disruption weapons did not explode. They just disintegrated into dust. Weapons locked and ready, Jae-hyun reported to his captain. All firing solutions confirmed. Awaiting your order, the captain nodded. Hold fire until Admiral Hyunwoo gives the word. The alien vanguard reached 20,000 kilometers from Earth. Commander Vex smiled on his bridge. The humans were not fighting back. Their orbital stations just sat there helpless. Their few visible warships made no move to engage. This was going exactly as planned. All ships prepare to fire. Target their orbital defense grid. I want it destroyed in the first salvo. Show these primitives the price of defiance. 500 Valdrin warships armed their weapons. Plasma cannons glowed brighter. Missile tubes opened. Torpedo launchers prepared to fire. The command came down from the flagship. Fire at will. Destroy them. The Valdrin fleet unleashed hell toward Earth. Thousands of weapons fired simultaneously. Plasma bolts, missiles, torpedoes, energy beams. A wave of destruction that should have obliterated everything in its path. Admiral Hyunwoo watched the enemy attack begin. He waited exactly 3 seconds. Long enough for the aliens to commit fully. Long enough for them to believe they were winning. Then he gave the order. All stations, weapons free. Execute Protocol Nightfall. Show them what humanity has built. Throughout the solar system, Earth's hidden arsenal activated. Daeun's defense platforms materialized from nothing. 200 stations appeared like ghosts, surrounding the alien fleet. Their weapons were already aimed. Already firing, the lunar batteries opened up. Singularity projectors created tiny black holes directly inside enemy ships. The capital ships at the front of the Valdran formation simply vanished, crushed into nothing by gravitational forces that should not exist. The ODS Horizon and 50 other warships revealed their true weapons. Phase disruption cannons fired in perfect synchronization. The pulses passed through Valdran shields like they were made of air. Enemy ships began to disintegrate, their hulls turning to powder. Tae Yang led the Ghost Squadron into battle. 60 fighters, each one carrying quantum tunneling missiles. The missiles did not fly toward their targets. They tunneled through space-time and appeared directly inside enemy ships, then detonated. Valdran vessels exploded from within, unable to defend against weapons that bypassed every protection. Railgun platforms fired projectiles accelerated to 90% of light speed. The kinetic weapons hit with such force that enemy shields might as well have been tissue paper. Ships cracked in half. Reactors detonated. Entire formations disappeared in expanding clouds of debris. The Valdran fleet tried to respond. They fired desperately at the platforms, at the human ships, at anything they could target. But their weapons were too slow. Their targeting systems could not track the fast-moving human fighters. Their shields meant nothing against weapons designed to ignore them. Commander Vex stared at his displays in horror. In less than 10 seconds, he had lost half his vanguard. Ships were dying faster than his sensors could track. The humans were not primitive. They were not weak. They had been hiding their strength, waiting for someone to make the mistake of attacking them. "Retreat," Vex screamed. "All ships, emergency jump. Get us out of here." But it was too late. The human weapons kept firing. More singularities, more phase disruption pulses, more kinetic strikes at relativistic speeds. The Valdran vanguard was not retreating. It was being systematically erased. General Sujin watched the battle from her command center. The engagement lasted 7.3 seconds. 500 alien warships reduced to debris, not a single human platform damaged, not one orbital station hit. Earth's defensive fire was so precise that the incoming Valdran weapons were destroyed before they could reach their targets. She opened a channel to Admiral Hyunwoo. "Status: Enemy vanguard eliminated. 0 human casualties. All systems green. The remaining Valdran fleet has stopped advancing. I think they are trying to understand what just happened." Sujin allowed herself a small smile. "Open a channel to their command ship. Let us see if they are ready to talk now." Commander Vex could not believe what he was seeing. The tactical display showed empty space where 500 warships had been moments ago. 500 ships, thousands of trained warriors, decades of military construction. Gone. Erased in the time it took to take a breath. His communications officer spoke in a shaking voice. "Commander, we are receiving a transmission from the humans. Audio only. They want to speak with you." Vex almost told him to ignore it. But the remaining 1,000 ships of his fleet were motionless, paralyzed by shock. Every captain was waiting for orders. Every crew member had watched their comrades vanish. If he did not respond, his fleet might collapse into panic. "Put it through," he said quietly. Admiral Hyunwoo's voice filled the bridge. He spoke calmly, like someone discussing the weather. "Valdran, Commander. This is Admiral Hyunwoo of the Earth Orbital Defense Network. Your vanguard attacked our planet." We responded. "You now have a choice to make. Order your fleet to surrender immediately, and I promise you will be treated according to the laws of war. You will be disarmed, held as prisoners, and eventually returned to your empire. Or you can continue this fight and we will destroy every ship you have. You have 10 seconds to decide." Vex looked around his bridge. His officers stared back at him. Some looked angry. Most looked terrified. One of his tactical officers spoke up. "Commander, our sensors are detecting energy signatures all around us. There are more of those hidden platforms. We are surrounded by weapons we cannot see. If they open fire, we will not last any longer than the vanguard did." Another officer added, "Our shields are useless against their weapons. Our targeting computers cannot track their fighters. Our missiles are being intercepted before they reach any targets. We have no tactical advantage." Vex felt something he had not experienced in decades. Fear. Real fear. He had conquered 50 worlds. He had burned cities. He had made entire populations kneel. But Earth was different. These humans had let the Valdran fleet come close. They had pretended to be afraid. Then they revealed weapons that made his entire military force look like children playing with toys. The 10 seconds were ending. Hyunwoo's voice returned. Your time is up, Commander. What is your decision? Vex closed his eyes. He thought about the Emperor's fury when he learned of this failure. He thought about his own reputation, destroyed. But mostly he thought about the warriors under his command. If he gave the order to fight, they would all die. Earth would wipe them out just as easily as they destroyed the Vanguard. We surrender, Vex said. The words tasted like poison. The Valdren fleet surrenders. We will power down our weapons and await your instructions. On Earth's orbital defense station, Hyunwoo nodded to his crew. Maintain targeting locks on all enemy vessels. If any ship powers weapons or attempts to jump away, destroy it immediately. Captain Tae Yang, take your squadron and position around their flagship. Make sure the commander understands we are watching. Tae Yang's voice came through the channel. Understood, Admiral. Moving into position now. The 60 fighters of Ghost Squadron formed up around the Eternal Wrath. The massive alien flagship was surrounded by small human craft that could probably destroy it in seconds. Vex watched them through his view screen and felt humiliated. Down on Earth, people watched the battle on every screen. The governments had broadcast everything. Citizens saw the alien fleet attack. They saw the hidden platforms appear. They saw the 7-second annihilation of the enemy Vanguard. They saw their world's military power revealed for the first time. In the streets of cities across the planet, people celebrated. They cheered. They cried with relief. Humanity had won. The aliens who came to conquer them were defeated. But some people had different reactions. They wondered why their governments had hidden such powerful weapons. They asked questions about what else might be secret. General Soo-jin addressed the World Defense Council. Leaders from every nation appeared on holographic displays around the command center. The immediate threat is neutralized, she reported. The Valdren fleet has surrendered. We are holding position around their ships. No Earth forces have been lost. Our orbital infrastructure is undamaged. However, we now face a different problem. The president of the Pacific Federation spoke up. What problem? We won decisively. Yes, we won. And now the entire galaxy knows about our capabilities. Within hours, every major civilization will receive footage of this battle. They will analyze our weapons. They will reassess their understanding of humanity. We can never go back to being ignored. The premier of the European coalition nodded thoughtfully. We knew this day would come eventually. We prepared for it. What are your recommendations? Soo-jin pulled up star maps and intelligence reports. We need to move quickly. First, we send diplomatic envoys to the major galactic powers before they decide we are a threat. Second, we share limited information about our technology to show we are not hiding anything. Third, we offer defensive pacts to civilizations that respect our sovereignty. Ambassador Young-ho entered the discussion. He had been humanity's secret contact with certain alien civilizations for years. He knew the political landscape of the galaxy better than anyone. General Soo-jin is correct, Young-ho said. The Valdren Imperium was not particularly powerful by galactic standards. They were middling, average. If we destroyed them this easily, the truly strong civilizations will be wondering what else we can do. Some will want to be our allies. Others will see us as a threat to eliminate. The president asked, what about the Valdren Empire itself? Will they send more ships? Young-ho shook his head. Unlikely. The Valdrens respect strength above all else. We humiliated them. They will not risk another defeat. But they control 400 systems. Other subject species might see this as an opportunity to rebel. The empire might collapse. That creates instability. Dr. Ji-won had been listening to the discussion. She added her own thoughts. We should also consider sharing some of our defensive technology with peaceful civilizations. Not our best weapons, but enough to help them protect themselves. It would build goodwill and show we are not conquerors. Engineer Dayun agreed. I can modify some of our older shield designs for export. Nothing that would threaten us, but effective enough to make our allies stronger. The discussions continued for hours. Earth's leaders had to make decisions that would shape humanity's future in the galaxy. They had revealed their strength. Now they had to decide how to use it. Meanwhile, Specialist Mireille worked in a different facility. She was humanity's best hacker, trained to infiltrate alien computer networks. Her team had accessed the Valdren fleet's communication systems within minutes of their surrender. Now she was doing something more ambitious. I am inside the Valdrin military network, she reported to her supervisor. I have access to their long-range communications. I can send messages across their empire. Her supervisor nodded. Do it. Send the battle footage everywhere. Make sure every Valdrin citizen knows what happened here. And make sure other civilizations receive it too. Mireille's fingers flew across her keyboard. The footage of Earth's 7-second victory began spreading through the galactic data networks. It would reach millions of worlds within days. The video showed clearly what happened when someone attacked humanity. The message was obvious and intentional. Leave Earth alone. Aboard the captured Valdrin flagship, Ambassador Young-Ho met with Commander Vex face-to-face. 2 armed guards accompanied Young-Ho, but he walked with confidence. Vex sat in a conference room, no longer wearing his military decorations. He looked defeated. Commander Vex, Young-Ho began. My name is Ambassador Young-Ho. I speak for Earth's government. We have terms for your surrender. Vex looked up. I expected you to execute us. We are not barbarians. You attacked us, yes. You threatened to enslave our people, but you also surrendered when faced with overwhelming force. That shows wisdom, so you and your crews will be treated fairly. Young-Ho laid out the terms on a holographic display. All Valdrin ships will be disarmed. Weapon systems will be removed. Your vessels will then be escorted to the edge of the solar system and released. You will return to your empire and deliver a message. Earth claims this region of space as sovereign territory. Any ship entering our borders without permission will be destroyed. We want peace, but we will defend ourselves absolutely. Vex read the terms carefully. They were harsh but not cruel. His ships would be crippled, but his people would live. What about reparations? Do you demand resources or territory? Young-Ho shook his head. We want nothing from your empire except to be left alone. Consider the ships you lost as payment for attempting to conquer us. Tell your emperor that Earth has no interest in galactic politics, but if anyone threatens us again, the response will be the same. Why did you hide your power? Vex asked suddenly. Your weapons could challenge any civilization in the galaxy. Why pretend to be weak? Young-Ho smiled slightly. Because civilizations that announce their strength become targets. We studied galactic history. We learned from the mistakes of others. We built our defenses in secret and waited. We hoped we would never need to use them. But you gave us no choice, Vex nodded slowly. He understood now. Earth had played a long game. Decades of preparation, decades of patience, and when the moment came, they struck with such overwhelming force that no one would dare challenge them again. The footage of the battle continued spreading through the galaxy. On 1,000 worlds, military analysts studied the recordings. They calculated the power of Earth's weapons. They reassessed their intelligence reports. Many reached the same conclusion. Humanity had been underestimated catastrophically. 3 neighboring empires immediately sent diplomatic signals toward Earth. They requested meetings. They offered trade agreements. They asked about defensive alliances. The message was clear. They wanted to be friends with this terrifying new power. Pirate fleets and raiding groups marked human space as forbidden territory. Stories spread through criminal networks. Do not go near Earth. Do not attack human ships. The humans do not negotiate with pirates. They just erase them. The Galactic Council, a loose organization of the oldest civilizations, sent an invitation. They wanted Earth to attend their next assembly. They wanted humanity to have a voice in galactic affairs. Analyst Kyung-Soo reviewed all the incoming communications. He worked with Ambassador Young-Ho to craft appropriate responses. Kyung-Soo had predicted much of this. He understood psychology and politics. He knew that Earth's demonstration would resonate across the galaxy. We need to appear strong but not aggressive, Kyung-Soo advised. We accept some diplomatic invitations but not others. We share some information but keep secrets. We help our allies but stay out of galactic conflicts. We walk a careful line, Young-Ho agreed. The galaxy has existed for millions of years without humanity. Power structures are established. Old alliances run deep. We cannot change everything overnight, but we can carve out a place for ourselves, a place where we are respected and left. Alone. 6 months after the battle, Ambassador Young-Ho stood before the Galactic Council. Behind him, holographic displays showed Earth's weapons in action. Not the full battle, but carefully edited segments. Enough to prove humanity's capabilities. Enough to make everyone understand. Representatives from dozens of civilizations watched. Some looked impressed. Others looked worried. A few looked calculating. probably wondering if they could acquire human technology. Young Ho spoke clearly. His words were translated into hundreds of languages simultaneously. Humanity sought only peace. We explored our local space. We contacted no one. We threatened no one. The Valdran Imperium came to us. They demanded our surrender. They promised enslavement. We ended their invasion in seconds. He paused, letting that sink in. Let this be the last time anyone questions humanity's resolve. We do not seek empire. We do not want to conquer, but we will defend our sovereignty absolutely. Any civilization that respects our borders will find us to be peaceful neighbors and valuable allies. Any civilization that threatens us will face the same fate as the Valdran fleet. The chamber was silent. Young Ho had just announced Earth's place in the galaxy, not as supplicants, not as victims, but as equals who would not be pushed around. He concluded with one final statement. Earth is willing to share knowledge with peaceful civilizations. We offer defensive technology to our allies. We propose trade agreements based on mutual benefit. But understand this. We learned from galactic history. We learned that the strong survive and the weak are consumed. Humanity will never be weak again. Young Ho left the chamber. Behind him, the galactic representatives began arguing immediately. Some wanted to befriend Earth. Others wanted to isolate humanity. A few suggested preemptive action before Earth became too powerful. But they all knew the truth. Humanity had changed the balance of power in the galaxy. The species that everyone ignored, that no one took seriously, had just proven they could destroy armies in seconds. Earth had secured its survival, but the consequences of that survival were just beginning. The Valdran Imperium was crumbling. Commander Vex returned home with his crippled fleet and delivered Earth's message to Emperor Valdis. The Emperor, who had ruled for 300 years, listened to the report in stunned silence. His greatest invasion force destroyed in seconds. His reputation shattered across the galaxy. Within weeks, rebellions broke out across Valdran space. Subject species who had been conquered generations ago suddenly saw opportunity. If mighty Valdra could be humiliated by a single world, maybe they were not so mighty after all. Colonies declared independence. Occupied planets rose up. The empire that controlled 400 star systems began to fracture. Earth watched from a distance. General Su Jin monitored the situation carefully from her command center. Intelligence reports flooded in daily. 3 different species had contacted Earth requesting military assistance in their liberation movements. 2 pirate groups offered to sell information about Valdran military installations. A merchant guild asked if human warships could escort their trade convoys. We need to decide what kind of power we want to be, Su Jin said during a meeting with the World Defense Council. Do we intervene in galactic affairs or maintain isolation? President Kim of the Asian Alliance responded first. We revealed our strength to protect ourselves, not to police the galaxy. If we start fighting in foreign wars, we become what we feared, an empire. Chancellor Miller of the European Coalition disagreed. But if we do nothing, we send a different message. That we are selfish, that we care only about ourselves. That invites resentment. Ambassador Young Ho had spent the past months traveling to different star systems, meeting with alien governments. He had a better sense of galactic opinion than anyone else on Earth. The truth is, we cannot stay isolated anymore, Young Ho explained. The footage of our battle has been seen by billions of beings across thousands of worlds. We are now a factor in galactic politics whether we like it or not. The question is not whether we participate, but how we participate. He pulled up a star map showing Earth's nearby space. 17 civilizations have requested defensive alliances. 8 have proposed trade agreements. 3 have asked for technological exchanges. But 5 have gone silent, which worries me. They might be planning something. Dr. Jiwan attended the meeting to provide the scientific perspective. We could offer humanitarian technology, medical advances, agricultural techniques, things that help people but do not involve weapons. It would build goodwill without militarizing the galaxy. Engineer Dayun added, I have been working on modified versions of our shield technology. They are effective but not as powerful as our military systems. We could share those with allies. Give them the ability to protect themselves without depending on us. Analyst Kyung-soo had prepared a comprehensive report on potential outcomes. If we remain purely isolationist, we risk becoming a target again. Strong civilizations may decide to test us, especially ones that think the Valdran fleet was just weak. If we become too involved, we get dragged into conflicts that do not concern us. The optimal path is selective engagement. Help our neighbors. Build a network of allies. But stay out of distant wars. The debate continued for hours. Finally, General Sujin made a recommendation. We create 3 tiers of relationships. Close allies who receive defensive technology and mutual protection pacts. Trade partners who receive economic cooperation, but not military support. And neutral parties who we monitor but do not engage with. We carefully choose who we help. The Council voted. The motion passed. Earth would engage with the galaxy but on its own terms. Ambassador Young Ho led the diplomatic effort. He traveled to the Zirion Federation, a nearby civilization that had been friendly even before the battle. The Zirians were traders and explorers, not warriors. They had contacted Earth years ago, one of the few species that showed genuine curiosity about humanity rather than dismissal. Young Ho met with the Zirion Council in their capital city. The Zirians looked like tall, slender beings with silver skin and large eyes. They communicated partially through color changes on their skin, which made their diplomacy very expressive. Ambassador Young Ho, the council leader, said, their skin shifting to warm gold tones that indicated friendship. We watched your battle with the Valdrins. We must admit we are relieved to see them humbled. They pressured us for tribute for decades. Earth values its relationship with the Zirian Federation. Young Ho replied carefully. We would like to formalize an alliance, trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and we are prepared to offer defensive technology to help protect your borders. The Zarian's skin flickered with surprised purple. You would share your weapons? Not weapons. Defensive systems, shield generators, early warning sensors, enough to make raiding you unprofitable for hostile forces. In return, we would like access to your trade networks and your knowledge of galactic civilizations. The Zarian Council deliberated briefly. Their skin colors swirled as they communicated among themselves. Finally, the leader responded, We accept. The Zarian Federation would be honored to be Earth's ally. It was the first formal alliance humanity made with an alien species. But it would not be the last. Captain Tae Yang received a new assignment. He would no longer fly reconnaissance missions. Instead, he was given command of the exploration fleet. 12 ships designed to venture beyond known galactic space. Humanity wanted to know what else was out there beyond the civilizations that everyone knew about. Your mission is simple, Admiral Hyun-woo told him during the briefing. Go farther than anyone else has gone. Find new worlds. Make contact with unknown species. But do not reveal Earth's location to anyone you do not trust absolutely. And if you encounter anything that seems like a threat, run first and investigate later. Taeyang accepted the mission eagerly. He had spent his career flying fast ships into dangerous situations. This was perfect for him. His fleet departed Earth with fanfare. News cameras captured the launch. Humanity was finally reaching out to the galaxy, not in fear but in confidence. On the moon, Dr. Ji-won continued her research. But now she had a new focus. Peace, not war. She led a team developing technology that could help with the food shortage on the desert world of Kalis 9. The Kalis people had contacted Earth through Zirion channels. They were dying slowly as their planet dried up. They needed help but had nothing to offer in return. We helped them anyway, General Sujin decided. Not every relationship is transactional. Sometimes you help people because it is the right thing to do. Ji-won's team designed atmospheric processors that could extract water from the thin Kalis air more efficiently. They shared the technology freely. Within months, the first Earth-designed moisture farms were operating on Kalis 9. The Kalis people sent a simple message back to Earth. Thank you for remembering the weak. That message was published across human networks. People saw that their advanced technology was saving lives on a distant world. Pride swelled. Humanity was not just strong, they were good. Engineer Daeun worked with Ambassador Young Ho to establish the first interspecies research station. It would orbit the Zirian homeworld and host scientists from multiple civilizations. Humans would share some medical technology. Zirians would contribute their knowledge of rare materials. 2 other species joined the project, eager to learn from both. Lieutenant Jae-hyun took a new position. He trained Allied forces on how to use Earth-designed defensive systems. He traveled to 6 different worlds, teaching military officers the basics of operating human shields and sensors. It was strange work. A year ago, These civilizations did not know Earth existed. Now they were learning from human technology. Specialist Mireille had perhaps the most interesting job. She monitored galactic communications networks, watching for threats or opportunities. She discovered something troubling. 5 civilizations had gone silent in their communications with Earth. Young Ho's concern was justified. Those 5 were meeting secretly, discussing humanity. Mireille managed to infiltrate their encrypted channels. What she found was concerning. The 5 civilizations were not planning an attack. They were forming a defensive pact against Earth. They feared humanity would eventually become aggressive. They wanted to be ready. They call themselves the Containment Council, Mireille reported. They are not planning to attack us, but they are preparing to limit our expansion. They want to box us in, keep us isolated in our region of space. Analyst Kyung-soo studied the information. This is actually good news. It means they fear us but respect us enough not to attack directly. They are choosing defensive measures, not offensive ones. We can work with this. Ambassador Young-ho reached out to the Containment Council through back channels. He requested a meeting. To his surprise, they agreed. The meeting took place on a neutral station, far from Earth or any council member's territory. Young-ho sat across from 5 alien representatives. They looked distinctly uncomfortable. He decided to be direct. I know why you formed your council. You fear Earth will become a conquering power. You saw what we did to the Valdrins and you worry you might be next. Let me be very clear. We have no interest in conquest. We want to be left alone, to grow at our own pace, to explore and trade freely. That is all. The representative from the Karathi clans, an old civilization with hundreds of colony worlds, responded. How can we trust this? Every powerful civilization claims peaceful intent until they are strong enough to break that promise. Young-ho nodded. You are right to be cautious. So I propose a treaty. Earth will agree to territorial limits. We will not expand beyond a defined border. In return, you agree to respect that border and trade fairly with us. We put it in writing. We make it formal. And if either side breaks the agreement, the consequences are clear. The 5 representatives looked at each other. They had not expected this. They came prepared for threats or demands. Instead, the human ambassador was offering compromise. After long discussion, they agreed. The Treaty of Borders was signed 3 months later. Earth agreed to limit its territorial expansion to a sphere of space 50 light-years in diameter around the solar system. The Containment Council agreed to recognize Earth's sovereignty in that space and to maintain open trade routes. It was not perfect, but it was stable. Not everyone on Earth was happy about the treaty. Some felt it was too limiting. Humanity should not be boxed in by fearful aliens, but General Soo-jin defended the decision. We have plenty of space to grow for the next century. By then, we will be established enough that renegotiating will be possible. This treaty buys us time and peace. That is worth more than unlimited expansion. Captain Tae-yang's exploration fleet made first contact with a previously unknown species on the edge of mapped space. The Talus were a peaceful, artistic civilization that had deliberately avoided galactic politics. They lived on beautiful ocean worlds and created stunning works of art. They were curious about Earth but cautious. Tae-yang spent weeks earning their trust. He shared human music and literature. He admired their art and asked questions about their culture. Slowly, the Talus opened up. They had hidden from the galaxy because every aggressive species eventually found them and tried to conquer them. Their beautiful worlds were valuable, and they had no weapons to protect themselves. Earth could protect you, Tae-yang suggested carefully. Not as overlords, as friends. We could provide defensive technology. Train your people. Make sure no one can threaten you. The Talus considered this. Finally, their leader asked a simple question. Why would you do this? What do you gain? Tae-yang thought about it. Honestly, we gain friends. We gain a relationship with people who value beauty and peace. We gain the knowledge that we used our strength to protect someone who needed protection. That matters to us. The Talus agreed to an alliance. They would remain independent but accept Earth's protection. In return, they would share their knowledge of ocean ecosystems and their artistic traditions. It was a strange alliance, but it worked. 1 year after the battle with the Valdrins, Ambassador Young-ho addressed the Galactic Council again. This time, Earth had accomplishments to report. In the past year, Earth has formed defensive alliances with 17 civilizations. We have established trade agreements with 43 others. We have shared humanitarian technology with 8 worlds facing crises. We have limited our territorial expansion by treaty. We have made peace with those who feared us. He displayed images of the Joint Research Station, of the moisture farms on Callus 9, of Earth warships protecting Xerion trade convoys, of Talus artists teaching human students. We told you we wanted peace. We meant it. Earth will defend itself, absolutely. But we will also be good neighbors. We will help those who need help. We will trade fairly. We will keep our word. This is humanity's promise to the galaxy. The response was mixed. Some civilizations applauded. Others remained skeptical. But the general consensus was shifting. Earth was proving it could be trusted. Yes, they were powerful, but they were using that power responsibly. On Earth itself, people watched their world's transformation with pride. Humanity had gone from isolated and ignored to respected and engaged. Alien visitors walked in human cities. Human scientists worked on alien stations. Trade goods from distant worlds appeared in markets. Children learned about alien cultures in school, but General Sujin never forgot the lesson. Power alone was not enough. Responsibility mattered. How you used your strength defined who you were. Earth had revealed its military might. Now it was proving its character. Deep in her command center, Sujin looked at the star maps and smiled. Humanity had secured its place in the galaxy. Not through conquest, but through strength tempered with wisdom. The galaxy was learning what it meant to have humans as neighbors. And for the first time in history, humanity was truly part of the larger universe. Captain Tae Yang stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Pathfinder, staring at something that should not exist. His exploration fleet had been traveling for 6 months beyond the edges of known galactic space. They were farther from Earth than any human had ever gone, and they had found something impossible. The structure was massive. It dwarfed planets, a ring of dark metal and crystal that encircled a dying star, siphoning its energy. Ancient, abandoned, but still functioning after what must have been millions of years. Tae Yang's sensors could barely comprehend what they were seeing. "Can you identify who built this?" he asked his science officer. "No, Captain. The materials are not in any database. The technology is beyond anything we understand. Whoever built this was far more advanced than any current civilization." Tae Yang ordered careful scans. His teams worked for 3 days, mapping the structure from a safe distance. They found docking ports, energy conduits, and what looked like defensive weapons, all dormant. And then they found something else, a data repository still active, broadcasting a weak signal. "Can you decode it?" Tae Yang asked. His communications officer tried for hours. Finally, she succeeded. "Captain, I have something." It is a warning. An automated message repeating on loop. She played the translation. The voice was artificial, cold, emotionless. "Warning to all civilizations. The Devourer sleeps beyond the galactic rim. Do not wake it. Do not investigate. Maintain the barriers. This structure is a watchtower. We failed. You must not." The message ended. Tae Yang felt a chill. "Send everything we have found back to Earth. Fastest transmission possible. Mark this location and set up warning beacons. We are leaving." The Pathfinder and its fleet jumped away. But the message had been received. Somewhere beyond known space, something dangerous was sleeping, and the ancient civilization that built this watchtower had been destroyed trying to stop it. On Earth, Admiral Hyunwoo retired from military service. He was 60 years old and had served his entire adult life. He had commanded during the Valdrin battle. He had overseen the expansion of Earth's defensive network. But now it was time for younger officers to take over. He accepted a new position as an advisor. Smaller civilizations that wanted to improve their defenses would contact him. Hyunwoo would visit their worlds, assess their capabilities, and recommend improvements. He did not share Earth's most advanced technology, but he taught principles and strategies. On his first advisory mission to the Xerion Federation, Hyunwoo met with their military commander. The Xerion officer was nervous, his skin shifting through anxious gray colors. "Admiral, we appreciate Earth's help, but we must ask. Do you think we could defend ourselves if someone like the Valdrins attacked us?" Hyunwoo was honest. "Not yet. Your shields are better now, but your weapons are still basic. You have early warning systems, which helps. But against a determined military force, you would struggle. However, that is why you have allies. If someone attacks you, Earth will help. But what if Earth is too far away? What if help does not arrive in time? Hyunwoo smiled. Then you make the fight so costly that the attacker regrets starting it. You do not need to win. You need to survive long enough for help to arrive. That is what good defense means. He spent 3 months training Zerion officers. He taught them tactics. He showed them how to use terrain and position to their advantage. He explained that technology was only one part of military strength. Strategy and courage mattered just as much. Dr. Ji-won led Earth's scientific exchange program. She traveled to different worlds, lecturing on physics and meeting with alien researchers. On the insect-like hive worlds, she discussed quantum mechanics with scientists who thought in completely different ways from humans. On the aquatic planet of Talos, she learned about biological engineering from species that could modify their own genetics. The galaxy is so much more diverse than we imagined, she told her team during a video call back to the Lunar Research Station. Every civilization has unique perspectives. The hive think in parallel, so they approach problems differently. The Talos see connections we miss. We can learn so much. But Ji-won also noticed something troubling. Several advanced civilizations had technologies they refused to discuss. When she asked about certain research areas, they would politely change the subject. She mentioned this to Ambassador Young-ho. I think there are secrets, she said. Technologies or discoveries that the older civilizations are keeping to themselves. I do not know why, but they are hiding something. Young-ho filed that information away. It might be important later. Engineer Da-yoon's interspecies research station was a huge success. Scientists from 7 different civilizations worked together, sharing knowledge and collaborating on projects. They developed better medical treatments, more efficient energy systems, and new agricultural techniques. But the station also revealed cultural differences that were difficult to bridge. The hive researchers worked constantly, never sleeping, which made the human and Zerion scientists exhausted trying to keep up. The Talos artists wanted every experiment to be beautiful, which slowed down practical work. And the crystalline Karathi thought on such long timescales that they sometimes forgot that other species had shorter lifespans. Da-eun had to mediate constantly. Science is universal, she would say. But culture shapes how we do science. We need to respect both. Despite the challenges, the station produced results. A new water purification system that worked efficiently on low-energy worlds. A medical scanner that could diagnose illnesses in multiple species. A communication protocol that different civilizations could use to talk more clearly. Lieutenant Jae-hyun finished training Allied military forces and returned to Earth. He expected to take a desk job, maybe teach at the military academy. Instead, he received a surprising assignment. He would command one of the new joint defense squadrons, ships crewed by humans and aliens working together. His first crew was a mix. Humans, Zerions, and 2 Talos observers. The Zerions were excellent navigators but nervous in combat. The Talos had no military training at all but had volunteered to learn. Jae-hyun had to figure out how to make them function as a unit. Why did you volunteer? He asked one of the Talos, a young female named Rena. Because my people have been protected by others for so long. I wanted to learn how to protect myself. And maybe someday I can protect others, Jae-hyun understood. She wanted to be more than a passive recipient of help. She wanted to contribute. He respected that. The joint squadron ran training exercises. They were clumsy at first. Communication was difficult. The different species had different reflexes and instincts, but gradually they improved. They learned each other's strengths. They covered for each other's weaknesses. Specialist Mireille continued monitoring galactic communications. She discovered that the 5 civilizations in the Containment Council were gradually relaxing their defensive posture toward Earth. They had been watching for a year. They saw that humanity kept its promises. They saw Earth help weaker civilizations instead of exploiting them. One by one, the Council members reached out to Earth with trade proposals and cooperation offers. The defensive pact did not dissolve officially, but it became less hostile and more of a neutral monitoring group. This is good progress, analyst Kyung-soo noted. Fear is turning into cautious respect. Another few years and they might become actual allies. But Mireille also found something concerning. Deep in the galactic communication networks, she detected encrypted messages she could not decode. They came from a region of space called the Outer Reaches, where old and mysterious civilizations lived. These civilizations rarely interacted with younger species. But now they were talking about something. And Earth was mentioned. She brought this to General Sujin's attention. I think the old civilizations are discussing us. I cannot break their encryption, but the volume of messages has increased significantly in the past 3 months. Sujin looked troubled. The galaxy has layers. We thought we understood the political landscape, but there are forces we have not encountered yet. Civilizations millions of years old. They were watching us the whole time. Ambassador Young-ho traveled to the edge of the outer reaches. He requested a meeting with any representative willing to talk. For weeks he received no response. Then finally a message arrived. A single representative would meet him on a neutral station. The being that appeared was unlike anything Young-ho had seen. It looked partly like energy, partly like matter, constantly shifting. It called itself an observer from the Luminal Collective, one of the oldest civilizations still active in the galaxy. You are the human, the observer said. Its voice sounded like wind chimes. We have been watching your species. For how long? Young-ho asked. Since you discovered fire. We watch all young species. Most destroy themselves. Some survive and grow. A very few become interesting. Young-ho felt a chill. This being civilization had been watching humanity for thousands of years. And which category are we in? You are becoming interesting. You developed powerful weapons but showed restraint. You revealed strength but sought peace. You learned from history instead of repeating it. These are rare qualities. The observer's form pulsed with colors Young-ho could not name. However, you have stumbled upon something dangerous. The structure your exploration fleet found. The watchtower. You know about that? Young-ho asked. We built it, millions of years ago. We and other ancient civilizations fought a war against something that should not exist. We call it the Devourer. It consumes stars, planets, entire systems. It feeds on energy and matter both. We defeated it barely. We pushed it beyond the galactic rim and built barriers to keep it dormant. Young-ho felt fear unlike anything he had experienced. Is it waking up? Not yet. But the barriers are weakening. They were designed to last forever, but nothing truly lasts forever. In 1,000 years, maybe less, the Devourer will wake. The galaxy will need to face it again. Why are you telling me this? The observer moved closer. Because humanity might be part of the solution. You have technology different from other species. You developed in isolation, so your innovations are unique, and you have something rare. You have the ability to unite different species toward a common goal. We have watched you build alliances in just 1 year. That is impressive. Young-ho understood. You want humanity to prepare, to help prepare others. Yes, we cannot fight the Devourer alone. Last time, 50 civilizations worked together, and most were destroyed. This time, the galaxy must be ready, and you humans might be the ones who can bring everyone together. The observer faded away, leaving Young-ho alone with terrible knowledge. He transmitted everything back to Earth immediately. General Sujin called an emergency meeting of the World Defense Council. She explained what Young-ho had learned. The reactions were mixed. Some thought it was a trick. Others panicked. But Sujin remained calm. We have 1,000 years, she said. That sounds like a long time. But preparing an entire galaxy for an existential threat? That will take every day we have. We need to start now. Captain Taeyang's exploration fleet received new orders. Map the barriers. Find the ancient watchtowers. Assess their condition. It was dangerous work. Some of his ships might not return. But Taeyang accepted the mission without hesitation. Dr. Jiwon began researching the fragments of data retrieved from the watchtower. She assembled a team of the best scientists from multiple civilizations. If they could understand the ancient technology, maybe they could repair the barriers, or build weapons that could fight the Devourer. Engineer Dayun started designing a new generation of defensive platforms, not just to protect Earth, but to protect key points throughout the galaxy. If the Devourer came, they would need mobile defenses that could respond quickly. Lieutenant Jae-hyun's joint squadron became a prototype. If the galaxy was going to face a common enemy, different species needed to learn how to fight together. His squadron would be the model for others. Hyun-woo came out of retirement. His advisory role expanded. He would help civilizations prepare for a threat they did not yet understand. He would teach them to work together, to trust each other, to build combined defense networks. Ambassador Young-ho began the difficult task of convincing the galaxy to take the threat seriously. Many civilizations did not believe the Devourer was real. It sounded like ancient mythology. But Young Ho was persuasive. He showed them the data. He brought representatives to see the watchtower. Slowly, attitudes changed. 1 year after discovering the watchtower, Young Ho addressed the Galactic Council again. This time, his message was different. Earth fought the Valdran Imperium to protect ourselves. We built alliances to secure our place in the galaxy. We shared technology to help our neighbors, but now we face something that threatens all of us. The Devourer is real. It is sleeping beyond the galaxy's edge, and someday it will wake. He displayed images of the watchtower, of the ancient warnings, of the estimates the observer had provided. We have approximately 1,000 years to prepare. That sounds like a long time, but it is not. The ancient civilizations had 50 species working together and they barely won. We need to do better. The council chamber erupted in debate. Some species wanted to ignore the problem. Others wanted to flee the galaxy. But Young Ho kept talking. Earth proposes the creation of the Galactic Defense Initiative, a voluntary organization dedicated to preparing for the Devourer's return. We will research ancient technology. We will develop new weapons. We will train combined military forces. We will map the barriers and repair them where possible, and when the time comes, we will fight together. Why should we trust Earth to lead this? One representative demanded. Young Ho smiled. Because we have nothing to gain from lying. Because we proved we can use power responsibly. Because we have spent a year building trust across the galaxy. And because someone has to start. So we will, join us or do not. But we will not wait for everyone to agree before we begin. 17 civilizations joined the initiative immediately. More would follow in the coming months. The Xerian Federation contributed their trade networks for logistics. The Karathi clans offered their construction expertise. The Talus provided artistic perspectives that helped with creative problem-solving. Even some members of the Containment Council joined, putting aside their fears to face a greater threat. General Su Jin oversaw the transformation of Earth's military. They were no longer just defending one planet. They were helping to prepare an entire galaxy. She established training programs, research partnerships, and strategic planning committees. The work was immense. Can we really do this? One of her officers asked. Can we prepare the galaxy for something that might not come for 1,000 years? Sujin looked at the star maps, showing the web of alliances and partnerships spreading outward from Earth. We have to try. Because if we do not, everyone dies. Humanity survived by preparing for threats others did not take seriously. Now we teach the galaxy to do the same. On Earth itself, people understood that their world had changed forever. They were no longer isolated. They were not even just another galactic civilization. They were leaders. The species that everyone ignored a year ago was now organizing the defense of the entire galaxy. Some humans struggled with this responsibility. Others embraced it. But everyone recognized that humanity had reached a turning point. They had secured their survival against immediate threats. Now they had to secure the survival of everyone. Captain Tae Yang's fleet continued exploring the edge of the galaxy. They found more watchtowers. Some were still functioning. Others had failed completely. They mapped the barriers and discovered gaps where the Devourer could potentially break through. The information was vital for planning. Dr. Ji-Wan made a breakthrough. She figured out how to manufacture the energy crystals the ancient civilizations used. It would take years to produce them in quantity, but it was possible. They could repair the barriers. They could strengthen the watchtowers. Engineer Da-Yun completed the first prototype mobile defense platform. It was smaller than Earth's orbital stations, but powerful enough to challenge any conventional fleet. More importantly, it could be built by multiple civilizations working together. The design was shared freely with all initiative members. Lieutenant Jae Hyun's joint squadron performed so well that 20 more were commissioned. Species that had been enemies for centuries learned to work side by side. The squadrons became symbols of galactic unity. Hyunwoo trained a new generation of military commanders from across the galaxy. They learned human tactics but adapted them to their own strengths. A unified military doctrine was emerging, one that respected differences while working toward common goals. Specialist Mi Ray continued her work, but now she coordinated information sharing across the entire initiative. Different civilizations contributed data. Mireille organized it, analyzed it, and distributed it. Knowledge flowed freely, accelerating progress. Analyst Kyung-soo predicted that within 10 years the initiative would include over 100 civilizations. Within 50 years, most of the galaxy would be involved in some way. The work was slow but steady. Cultural differences caused problems. Political disputes had to be mediated. But progress continued. Ambassador Young-ho found himself in an unexpected role. He was not just Earth's diplomat anymore. He was the face of the entire Galactic Defense Initiative. He traveled constantly, meeting with leaders, negotiating agreements, solving disputes. It was exhausting work. But every civilization that joined made the galaxy a little safer. On a space station orbiting a blue giant star, Young-ho took a moment to rest. He looked out at the ships docked there. Human vessels alongside Zirion traders and Karathi construction ships and Talos art barges. A year ago, this would have been impossible. Now it was normal. General Su-jin joined him. She had come to review the station's defensive installations. "Do you think we can do it?" she asked. "Can we really prepare the galaxy for something that defeated 50 ancient civilizations?" Young-ho thought carefully. "I do not know. The Devourer is more powerful than anything we can imagine. Even with 1,000 years of preparation, we might fail. But we have something the ancients did not." "What?" "Humanity. And all the species we have inspired. We prove that cooperation works. We prove that sharing strength makes everyone stronger. The ancient civilizations probably competed until the end. We will work together from the beginning. Maybe that makes the difference." Su-jin nodded. "And if it does not? Then we fight anyway. Because the alternative is extinction." They stood together watching ships from 100 worlds working side by side. Earth had secured its sovereignty. It had built alliances. It had shared its strength. And now it was leading the galaxy toward an uncertain future. The Devourer slept beyond the rim, waiting. The barriers held, weakening slowly. And across the galaxy, billions of beings prepared for a war that might come in their lifetimes or in the lifetimes of their descendants 1,000 years hence. But they prepared together, united by the example of a species that had been underestimated and ignored. United by the knowledge that survival required cooperation. United by hope that intelligence and determination could overcome any threat. Humanity had erased an invasion fleet in 7 seconds. Now they had 1,000 years to prepare for something far more dangerous. The galaxy was learning what humans had always known. When facing extinction, you do not surrender. You do not run. You prepare. You build. You unite. And when the moment comes, you fight with everything you have because that is what it means to survive.